Today on the W2 Report, the escape from Tarkov scandal that shocked the world in 60 seconds. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the W2 Report. I am your host, Sanji Himura. Today we are going to take a trip on the bus. Oh, wait a minute, never mind. Today we are going to go over the ground rules with Lord Crockersquirrel.
Rule number 1, do not be the dick. Rule number 2, if you have questions, please refer to rule number 1.
If found to be the dick, we will disavow any knowledge of your existence. But first, we have breaking news. Today we are joined by our third man in the ring, Mr. Thomas.
In the Gana de Vida, bitches.
And that was the breaking news, folks. Seriously. I just kind of got that out of order, I think.
Yes, we did. Our breaking news today is Fire Emblem Engage recently released with an uncensored patch that removes some of the localization crap, but the uncensored patch got forcibly censored by the admins of websites such as Game Banana and Lovers Lab. Now, Squirrel, why is that?
Okay. I can't speak to Game Banana, but from what I have been hearing here and there about the interwebs, they were more concerned with the nationality of the developer than anything else. This is a retarded thing. This is a retarded thing to do, in my opinion. Because it doesn't mean that Russians can't code. Some of them can, quite a few of them, in fact. And it's kind of hard to insert spyware when you're trying to clean up a localization problem. Kind of, but not quite.
In Soviet Russia,
on the other hand, I get that one. Whether or not they were pissed off about the Ruski, I don't know. But number one, there are two things that one does not do. Number one does not piss off the no friendo. They are called no friendo because they don't actually have friends, because they like to sue the shit out of everybody. We don't want them to do that. We'd like it if they didn't. Thank you very much. But the only way to get that onto actual hardware with an actual piece of software is to modify the switch. And one does not do that, and no friend don't like them. So you don't want to piss those people off. The other option is to sail the seven seas and obtain a copy that you can put in an emulator, or you can find some way to dump the game off of your Switch and onto the emulator, which is another thing you don't want to do, because No Friendo takes a very dim view of that. that and Sailing the Seven Seas, looking for software, movies, and music. That's illegal most everywhere, and Japan has no concept of fair use in their jurisprudence. So yeah, let's go there, shall we? Yeah, Lovers Lab. I can imagine why they would not want to be on the wrong end of Nofrendo at that point.
Well, Game Banana actually made us.
What?
Well, Game Banana actually put out a statement saying, quote, Game Banana is respecting the wishes of the developers who, when translating the game from Japanese to English, decided not to depict certain romantic relationships. If you wish to have a fully translated English mod, you'd have to find it elsewhere. And by the way, this was also banned from Lovers Lab.
Okay, so they're respecting the translators who fucked it up. Is that where we're going with that? Because that's what it sounds like.
That's what it sounds like to me.
I have heard stories about that, about the translation too, and none of them are good. Apparently, they modified several of the relationships to remove heterosexuality in certain characters that they preferred. Mind you, I have not played this game. I do not own a copy of this game. I'm not sure I want to. This is what I have heard. I do not have that. I don't have that as direct evidence. So there is that.
And welcome, Raz, to the show.
Hey,
I hope you enjoy your stay.
Get him, Raz. All right. So, yeah.
Of course, this is a very fluid story, and if more information does come out, we will, of course, follow it up.
A special video for an upgrade. That'll be good. For an upgrade. Let's do that. A little extra grope won't hurt anybody. It'll make Hug do that because then he actually has to do work.
Yes, of course.
But I approve of the groping.
Of course you do. Push it, Bill.
Our lead story tonight. NFT pushing Square Enix boss is replaced by a metaverse pushing boss. This comes courtesy by Kotaku.
Oh no! Did Shitaku actually get something right?
Apparently, yes.
That's right. I said Shitaku.
And we're not talking about the mushrooms, kids.
We have it on good authority by a game of Quiplash from last night that most of Shitaku's journalists can be found in the couch cushions. The actual journalists. Not that
Ethan Gauch. Ethan Gauch.
They currently have doing this thing that they like to think is writing.
Ethan Gauch reports.
I'm sorry. My bias is showing again.
I think all of our bias is showing again.
Oh, so nobody's disagreeing with me. That's even better.
Ethan Gauch reports Square Enix is getting a new boss. Yosuke Matsuda has served as the Final Fantasy's publisher CEO for the last 10 years and has spent the last couple of those hyping up NFTs and other blockchain scams. He is now set to be replaced by a relatively newcomer pending shareholder approval in June. The company has announced the organizational shakeup on Friday, claiming that it was needed in order to chase technological innovation. Takashi,
that should be read. This NFT / crypto thing, we need to not do that. because FTX fucked pretty much everybody. The only crypto thingies that are actually even remotely stable are Bitcoin and Ethereum. We would like to not have to do that. So get bent.
And remember, kids, NFT stands for nobody's fucking trading.
Not that you're actually trading anything of any substance. With a Bitcoin, at least you have some sort of a thought that it might be backable eventually someday. And people think it has, and people believe it has value. Therefore, but everybody's going, I got a pitch. I got a picture of a stupid ass monkey. What the fuck is this shit? And then they realized that this isn't actually worth anything. Why are we here? And then the bottom fell out of the whole 9 yards because, wall.
Because nobody learned the lessons from the .com boom.
We were actually that was the crypto bubbles were all well and good for a while. Now, not so much, and the survivors are doing quite well for themselves.
Well, even then, they're pushing securities fraud.
Well, most of the crypto exchanges went bye-bye, just poof. And from what I've been hearing from other folks that know more about this shit than I do, the crypto exchanges going bye-bye is a good thing.
Right.
Actually, I'm pretty sure you're the one. I'm pretty sure it was either you or Ani that told me that. I think Reiko mentioned it too. I have a lot of respect for Reiko.
Well, you want to hear who's the new boss?
Oh, yes, do please tell.
Takashi Kiryu, the new CEO, has only been in Square for a couple of years, and prior to that, he was the general manager at the Dentsu Innovation Initiative, a business group exploring exciting new opportunities in, among other things, the metaverse.
Yeah, that guy there has been a Flakebook fanatic for 2 decades now. And honestly, that guy kind of annoys me, but not nearly as much as Yosuke. Yosuke was just out there. I mean, do you want to wreck your company? Let's go and do the. I'm gonna show you how to do that, just so you know not to. Wait, oh gosh, god damn it, moron! Stop that! Don't do that. You're being silly.
Well, I don't know what's worse. Having a guy that's on par with anybody who holds a dumb ape, or having somebody who's comparable to Shane Isaac. Take your pick. They're both equally worse.
You know what? I would go with infecting the AAA space or any gaming space, with NFTs being the bigger crime. Of course, that's just my opinion. You can think I'm wrong, and you will be thinking wrongly, but that's not my problem. That's not your problem. No, you're welcome to think I'm an idiot. I personally think that NFTs should not be expected to try and carry things. Although it's going to be interesting seeing the changes in Final Fantasy 16 after that, because I was hearing that they were going to be doing some NFT shit with that, but I was going to not buy it.
Now I am going to defend the incoming guy a little bit here. NFTs were a bad idea, and for any gaming company to get involved in them you're taking a big risk that has very little reward. You're not going to get the wider audience. Going
Or
into
any
meta,
audience, if Ubisoft's anything to go by. The reaction for the Ubisoft people is holy crap.
But here's the thing: the move possibly into meta has twofold upside. One of them, Facebook has a huge audience, and it has at least a pretty sizable gaming community. So
yes. On top of that, they have a stranglehold on the Oculus VR platform, which is actually one of the better ones. I prefer HTC, but then people think I'm an idiot.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're going from a very small pond into a much larger pond, and where you're going to have the possibility of getting crossover. Anybody who's involved in NFTs, you're dealing with a very niche market, and we'll talk a little bit more about that with a Tarkov situation. But you're actually expanding your potential base for consumers. So it's not necessarily a bad move. You may not be as smart as just staying in your lane and making better games, but all things considered, it's a smarter business move than staying with NFTs. Therefore, that's pretty much the end of it. Just
a dead monkey is a smarter move than staying with NFTs. But at the same time, there are some potential issues going on here. That being said, being able to get Final Fantasy 17, for example, into a possible VR option, because that's what the metaverse is supposed to be, is a big VR meeting space. As long as this wouldn't actually be completely fucking required, would be not necessarily bad. I know there are a lot of VR players, and some of them don't want to do Final Fantasy, don't want to do any of the flat panel games because it's not in VR. Or it would have to be really frigging good if they're going to do that.
Yeah, and on the other side of the equation, you have people who aren't into VR but would still be interested in the Final Fantasy element of it. So if it's not required to be in VR, you're gonna have a much greater crossover.
Yes, you'll have some crossover. It's not necessarily a bad time. Typical time frame for a release of a new version depends on what. I mean, if you're talking about a browser, 1 or 2 a week, a couple times a month. But if you're looking at a video game, you're talking. It really depends on when things start development. Anywhere from 3 to 5 years for a new one, for a new video game or a sequel or some other such similar thing. Not that there are really very much. There's been very much in terms of video games outside new video games outside of the budget indie sort of title things. So, okay, you're talking about video games. Typical development for a AAA game is 3 to 5 years. Depending on team size, smaller studios can get away with it in a year, maybe 18 months, depending on what they're trying to accomplish. Because if they bite off more than they can chew for the size of the size of their team, it's going to A, take longer, or B, look like crap. And sometimes it's both. We're talking, dealing in video games, you're gonna have to be careful with exactly what you're working on. AAA video game, they usually have the resources to put together huge teams, and you're talking 3 to 5 years. Anything under 2 for a AAA game, and everybody's giving it a hairy eyeball. Also, then again, you have the Bethesda loop, wherein they don't, wherein you get rumors upon rumors upon rumors of Elder Scrolls 6, and they don't release it for another 10 fucking years. I forget how long it took them to actually finish Skyrim, but the release timing was, they started working on it before they finished the Elder Scrolls 4 for, I want to say 2006, and we didn't get Elder Scrolls 5 till 2011.
And something
they've been
else to
talking
consider.
about Elder Scrolls 6 first started, rumors of Elder Scrolls 6 first started popping up 8 or 9 years ago. It's been now 12 since it's been the best part of 12 since we got Skyrim. We don't even know where this next one's taking place. And even if we did, we're still looking at a year. We're still looking for a year to anywhere between a year and 3 before it actually hits the shelves. So the Bethesda loop tends to be incredibly long, and then it's usually not actually ready for release. You have to get the modders in there to fix it. Starfield, we've been hearing about for about a decade now, and that was supposed to be out back in November. Now it's, I think, in April. It's April or May. You want to check that, Sanji?
Sure.
Because I haven't heard about it. I don't remember hearing about an exact release date for Starfield, but it's supposed to be sometime soon, unless they pushed it back.
First half of 2023. First half of 2023.
Sometime between now and the end of June.
Yeah.
And since we're not seeing trailers new trailers at the moment, my guess would be for just about the ass end of that.
Right.
We're talking.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's in July. If that.
We might actually wind up getting it. We might not get it till November, depending on exactly how much polish Todd Howard decides it has to have, and how much he wants to rely on the modders, since he's still using that outdated fucking engine. He needs to get some people on building a new one, especially before they really get tucked into Fallout 5, which is going to be at least 6 to 8 years out.
And the thing to remember with, especially the AAA games anymore, is the reason why they're AAA is because you're doing the alpha test.
Actually, funnily enough, I'm going to go with we're probably going to start seeing Bethesda games like that more frequently now. At least for Bethesda Game Studio itself, because they have to answer to Microsoft, and that means we're probably, not only does that mean we're going to see shit on Game Pass and Xbone or Series S and X long before we see them on Steam or the Windblow store, which is even fucking worse. Don't get me started on that.
And on top of that,
if you want to play Starfield without access to the Windows Store or Game Pass, which is a monthly fee, mind you, the 7 Seas are probably going to be your only option for at least a year.
Yeah, and the other side of it is that with this whole thing with Windows and Bethesda is, I get the feeling there's going to be a lot more game crashes than anything else, and which if you remember the old operating systems of Windows, you get the blue screen of death.
Crashy gave me grum nom nom. Oh yeah, hell, crashy whole computer. Windows 11 has proven a bit more stable than most. Windows 10 was okay. Windows 8 was nah. Windows 7 did outstanding. I rarely, if never, saw a hard crash on Windows. On Windows 7, but anything earlier than that, you're boned. We do not talk about Winblow's Microsoft error. They call it the Millennium Edition. No. Microsoft error. Absolutely. Every time. And some people, I had people telling me it was supposed to be Windows for me. No. This was not a thing that was going to happen ever.
Moving right along. We have breaking news, yes, as of yesterday, that an Austrian court weighed in and says that FIFA football ultimate packs are considered gambling, and orders Sony to issue a refund to a gamer in Austria. This is according to InsiderGaming.com. The ruling started back from a lawsuit started back in 2020, saying that a 17-year-old Austrian gamer spent about 300 euros to open FIFA Ultimate Team packs, and ultimately decided that he's been enticed into gambling on the popular game. And it was further determined that it was an illegal move on the part of the platform provider. This notion was backed up by a lawyer who was then hired to assist the 17-year-old gamer, who had damning things to say, saying, quote, "Because the video game loot boxes are created by the developers who offered them exclusively in the games, the prizes are in violation of fair commerce laws, as there cannot be any competition." This was according to Ulrich Salberg, an Austrian lawyer. He also highlighted, along with the Austrian court, that loot boxes are illegal, as only the state-run, whatever that is, and Casinos Austria AG can offer gambling in Austria itself. And this is where the debate kicked off in earnest, as it is where the earliest demands were made for Sony to refund the victimized gamers.
You see, it doesn't actually suck as hard to be Sony in this particular case, because the kid's only out 300 euros as opposed to, I don't know, billions. And billions would have been kind of harsh. But on the flip side, it opens them up to large-scale lawsuits at that point. See, the problem here is that Sony has its own contractual obligations. They're not allowed to do the Ultimate Team packs unless by EA. Well, they wouldn't even be allowed to carry the game by EA unless they were taking on money for the packs, and they get 70%. EA is more responsible for this than anyone else. Okay, yeah, Sony took in the money, but they didn't actually get to keep much of any of it.
Right.
They got 90 euros out of 300. Think about that. So they're having to refund this kid. Great, fine, wonderful. But if everybody else has ever bought a pack decides that they wanted to start assembling a lawsuit against the Sony, Sony's already been judged against. So without some sort of significant appeal by Sony, they're going to be fucked, because all of those law boots would wind up being. They're not even going to get a fucking hearing at that point.
Yeah, this is precedent at this juncture.
Nope, you're guilty. Fuck off. The problem, of course, is this would also, at least in theory, apply to Microsoft in a couple different directions, because they not only sell that shit on Expo, but they do the same thing for
PC.
They do the same shit on PC through their Winblow store. Steam, Valve could be on the hook for this. Oh yeah, but only in Austria. I don't know how many people actually play that fucking game in Austria, but they should all stop. It's most decidedly not worth the money you're putting out on it. And there's a level of responsibility that's involved that everybody should be undertaking if they pick up a game like this. Don't give it and credit card details to children. Okay, this kid was under the age. This kid's under 18. He's not, and he's using mommy and daddy's credit card. He probably got into a shit ton of trouble for it. If any of my kids did something like that, there would be death. There would be blood all over.
Blood, gore, and guts.
Not literal, metaphorical. Neither one of them would have a computer ever. And if one of them bought one after they turned 18, I'd go to their house and destroy it.
Okay, now, how can I put this delicately? What in the wide world of fuck are they thinking?
Well,
First
again,
off,
the people I would have gone after would be EA and their fucking surprise mechanics. But EA has a much larger power base in Austria than Sony.
That was the point I was about to make. So,
electrical assholes. Yep.
Yeah,
it's egregious assholes, isn't it?
Yeah, the first point is that why is Sony on the hook for something that EA does and is known to do? That makes no logical sense.
It demands that their vendors do.
It doesn't matter. The game was created by EA. It was, even if Sony takes in a little bit of money, ultimately they're not the ones who are insisting on the microtransactions. It's EA. EA has a history of this. So I guess I'm a little bit concerned that the Austrian court is even taking this up under the basis that there's no real chain of liability here. And on top of that, it's a 17-year-old Austrian kid, 300 euros, which is about, in American dollars, about $3.50. But the point is, that even if it's such a minuscule amount, it's the principle of the thing. Sony's lawyer should be turning around and saying, yeah, fuck you, fuck the horse, you lawyer, fuck the horse you both rode in on, and on top of that, fuck your lawsuit. This is not something that we did. This is something that EA did. Our liability stops and ends with the money that we're taking in, but that does not make us responsible ultimately for this situation. And of course, as a 17-year-old kid playing FIFA, how in the ever-loving fuck is he allowed to have a standing in this case when I'm not even sure if he's legally able to, under Austrian law at least, I'm not even sure if he's legally able to make those decisions. And even if he uses his parents' credit card or does something else for that matter, it's still a matter of the age, and whether it's considered to be the age of adulthood. If it's 17, if it's 16 in Austria, for example, then yeah, he's responsible. It's ultimately his responsibility. If he's not, then he is at least partially responsible, but his parents are also partially responsible, and Sony is out of the loop.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, this actually gets worse. I agree. I am completely behind you on this one, Patty. Okay, so now we got. So this is even worse. One, yes, the age of adulthood in Austria, like it is in most of the West, is 18. That being said, in fact, the only place I know of where it's actually, I can guarantee in which it's actually different is, where is that? It's Japan, where it's currently 20. Although I think they're down to 18 now too.
And don't forget about Epstein Island.
Epstein Island, the age of adulthood is 2. So,
my point exactly.
Anyway, moving right along. Okay, at best, his parents are on the hook for the money. At worst, he had to have used his parents' credit card to do any of this, and therefore, because he's older than like 13, he could be on the hook for fraud. A juvenile version of fucking fraud. So yeah, where is your brain, people? Okay, yeah, Sony took the money in, and if Sony's refunding is only refunding their part, that's still €300. Sony's not going to hurt over €300. However, everybody could hurt later. What they needed to have done was gone after EA for putting that shit in there in the first place. And since it's now considered gambling in Austria, EA is going to have to figure something out here before they get before they're next.
Here's a question.
That's where the way I would use this particular precedent, since they're doing it this way. Well, let's go get them.
Yeah, and here's another aspect to consider. Are collectible card games considered gambling in Austria?
I don't think so, but then you're actually getting a physical object that you could like cash in if you wanted to.
But that's the point, though. The point is, it's basically an ultimate pack in FIFA is no different than a collectible card game. You buy a pack, you take your chances. So Sony has another angle of attack here, as far as I'm concerned. It's that if you allow it for collectible card games like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, but you're treating this differently, you're actually, even though there's the physical versus the electronic version, it's still essentially the same concept. And as far as I'm concerned, that invalidates the entire request for Sony to pay up the €300, because it's disparate treatment.
I don't disagree here, but well, let's just say the collectible card games have been around long enough that maybe that's not where they wind up with that. Because I get where you're going with that, and I agree. This would be the next logical conclusory step. But is that really going to be? Is that really the hill that somebody wants to die on? And my thinking is, somebody's going to try that, and they're probably going to lose.
I'm going to counter that by saying this is a law that was put in place before microtransactions was a thing. This law was passed in Austria in 1989.
Ugh.
If you're going to talk about contemporaneousness, then I'm sorry, but you got to deal with the fact that this is an archaic law that ultimately is being misused in this particular case. And like I said, if you allow collectible card games, you have to allow the microtransactions, which is stupid, but it's the only logical heart of the law.
Well, what makes this even worse is that they're blaming the middleman for what the developer is actually doing.
And that's the part that actually gets me. Who should actually be responsible ultimately? The correct answer is probably not Sony.
No.
Although if they wanted to get Sony and Electronic Arts at the same time, I find that to be kosher. But if this shit's going to happen a lot, Sony's going to go, no, we're not doing this anymore.
Okay.
That's what I'd do. I'd be telling Sony to get. I'd be telling EA to get bent after that. After this one, after this day's work. Oh yeah, I'd be telling Sony to if I was Sony, I'd be telling some fuckers to get bent.
Yeah.
Because there is absolutely no way this ends well. Especially not for Sony.
And on that note, we are going to move on to our top story. The escape from Tarkov's cheating scandal that shocked the world.
Oh, yes, that one.
And about 10 days ago, a YouTuber by the name of Goat, for he is the motherfucking Goat, released a video. I have condensed it down to about a minute and a half. And we're gonna play it. We're gonna play it for you right here, right now.
I discovered a secret weapon, the Wiggle, and the Wiggle was all I needed.
We have a lack of sound because this is intentional because we're going to talk over it. Basically, what Goat did is he installed mods on a new account and he set out to find some cheaters. And we don't need that anymore. And we can add your game back. And basically the wiggle is he wiggles from side to side with his weapon and
everything dies.
Well, it signals to the cheater if he has a direct line of sight through an object that
I like that a lot. And yes, Patty, we do have another live stream this evening, and we can do all of the things. As far as cranial rectal inversion, yeah, that's a thing. That was a thing for that story. It's actually going to be something similar here. Cranial rectal inversion. Yes, folks, I am playing Loop Hero in the background because reasons.
And it signals to the cheater that he's cheating, you're cheating, we both know you're cheating. Let's have a pact and not kill each other. And Goat basically estimates that 65% of raids have a cheater somewhere in that raid. Now, Kira did a reaction video on Goat's original video, which is why we're not showing you Kira's reaction video. Kira estimates that the amount of lobbies that have a cheater on them is a hell of a lot higher. 80%.
Up, yeah, 80+%, maybe as high as 90. I've heard a lot. I've heard a lot of different numbers on this, so just be aware. But
yes.
It's bad. It's really bad, and it seems like the devs are actually like terrified of these people.
Yes.
If you are being a cheatery thing, the devs are probably more scared of you than you are of them.
Yes, and BattleEye actually, if you have cheats for Tarkov installed, they actually recommend that you uninstall certain games, including League of Legends.
Yeah, because those will get picked up. And you will be and League of Legends will like IP ban your ass. IP and account ban your ass, actually. You will get boned and you will have had it coming.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, really bizarre. And I know Thomas is sitting in the background waiting to speak up. So I'm going to let him speak up.
All righty. Here's my whole situation here. One thing that I'm wrapping my head around is this is a subset of the gaming community. And it's a fucking video game. Why do you feel the need to cheat? Why is this going to lead to something cool? Are you going to be able to brag?
Well, to kind of answer that question,
It seems we may have actually lost to Thomas, or did the Thomas just shut up precipitously?
well, I think we kind of lost to Thomas.
His
So-
mic's still on, but he cut off mid-sentence.
Yeah. Well, to answer Thomas's question, there is real money trading going on with the world of Tarkov, where you trade real world items with real world items with real world items with for money.
But I
Well, we know
repeat,
what real money trading is, so that's a thing.
it's a fucking video game.
Yeah, that's true.
And to be honest with you, I don't get it. I'm a console pleb. I will admit this. I know for a fact that the problem is bigger with PC gaming. Having said that, I also understand that the ultimate goal of a game is to entertain. If you feel you have to cheat in order so you get that entertainment value, guess what? You have a sick, sad life. I'm just gonna put it out there. And the fact that they're kind of cracking down on the other aspect of it, like if you're cheating in this game, you have to delete another game, which is admittedly a lot more popular and much more well-known worldwide, then guess what? You're still on the short end of the stick here. And on top of that, you're going to be branded as a cheater. If you have any self-respect whatsoever, which given the rampantness of the cheating in this game, I'm going to say that if you have any self-respect, you don't want to be labeled as such. Plus, it sets on a much larger scale. I'm not going to go off on the whole video games cause violence kind of thing, but it is kind of reflective of modern society. The fact that you have so many people thinking it's okay to cheat to get ahead. This reflects what our current society is like. We have people out there who have college kids who are going up there saying it's okay to cheat, or it's okay to be dishonest and all of that, but it doesn't necessarily make it a good thing. So again, if just put a fine bow on it. If you are playing this game legit, I wish you luck. I hope that they find a way to crack down on the cheating. But if that doesn't crack down soon, then might I suggest other games like Battlefield 2042.
Oh. And Patty's right here. It's definitely not okay to be a cheater in any situation.
And especially not in multiplayer games, folks. Come on. You can cheating in multiplayer games just makes everybody else want to. If you're playing a single player game, want to squirrel it up yourself, that's fine. You're not hurting anyone but yourself. That's just my opinion.
And not to put too fine a point on it, It's a fucking video game.
Oh. All right. With that out of the way, I think we are about done for the news today.
Yeah, we're
But
about
we
done.
do.
Go ahead.
But we do have a couple of new announcements for the next couple of weeks. Next week we could do an Earth 2 quarterly, or we could have an off week. I'm still deciding on that. So I will decide. I'll decide by Wednesday whether to do an Earth 2 quarterly or have an off week. March the 20th. I am proud to announce that we will have DJ Slope with us for an exclusive interview.
Oh, he's been interviewed before.
Yeah, he's been interviewed before, but he's going to sit down with us for an interview, and we're going to have some fun, talk about video games and his little Kicks Gamer project, and hopefully we can convince him to talk about his upcoming videos a little bit.
Next week, I need to make it through today, says Patty.
Until the next time we see you, beware the tax man cometh.
Why did you leave our side?
Hello, folks. This is Morgan Freeman. This concludes our broadcast day. I'm Morgan Freeman. Good night.